Hi, and welcome to the third part in my three-part series on what to expect from a laparotomy. In this video, I'll be covering rehabilitation on being discharged from hospital and what that meant for me and what I went through. So I believe in the last video, I'd just gone home after 6 days in hospital. At this point, very much the focus was going to be on recovery. And one thing that happened a lot during the hospital stay was almost like an inability to sleep. I think I slept for about 4 hours per night, and even that was interrupted, nurses having to do the observations and doctors having to do the observations. And just generally the noise and the hustle and bustle just meant I wasn't getting any deep sleep. And this actually gave me a little bit of fear. I was worried, was I ever going to actually sleep properly when I got home, because I'd found it that tough. And I remember the first night home, I think I slept 13 hours. I woke twice, I think it was, to take medications. I was on tramadol and paracetamol. I'd got off all other medications by this point. All the cyclizine, anti-sickness, everything like that had gone. I still need it because I had a lot of abdominal pain from the scar, getting up and moving around. I was trying to keep myself active. So I think I was on 1 or 2 tramadol at night initially, down to 1 within about 2 or 3 days, because I was very adamant I wanted to get off the medication. I think within 8 days I was off the tramadol and I was only on paracetamol, I think 1 or 2 in the day and then a couple at night to sleep. And I think I started going pretty much through the night from about 10, 14 days. So my recovery was actually quite good. The tough thing when I first got back was trying to keep active and get that balance between activity and recovery. So I remember going out for my walk. As I've been walking in the ward, I wanted to now get that to walking outside, getting fresh air. And I remember my first walk, usually to walk to the end of my street would take about 40 seconds. And I think to get from the house, not even to the end, I think we got to about, because my wife was walking with me, I think we got to about 50 yards from the end of the street. And I was shot. It took me about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So then we turned around, we went back. And then I slept for an hour. I mean, I was absolutely spent. So be aware of that. You're going to find it tough in those first few days. Things were quite exponential. The more I did it, the much better it got, the much quicker it got. And one of the other fundamentals I started was I think it was started at 14 days after the surgery. So I think I must have been home about 8 days. And I started a 100-day meditation gong. I was using a chi stick, so I was doing a very circular motion with the deep breathing, and this was fundamental. This helped so much. 20 minutes of meditation every day for 100 days unbroken. I also contacted some great colleagues that I have that are extremely knowledgeable, Matt Walden and Emma Lane. Matt Walden sort of confirmed what I wanted to do with my rehabilitation, lots of starting with infant development exercises and then slowly going through to a lot of stretch work and mobility work. And then I think I only did stretch work and body weight work for the first 4 to 6 months, which for me was hard because I wanted to lift weights, but you have to work within your limit. And also your body has been so shut down. I mean, fundamentally shut down. For the first 4 or 5 days, I almost felt like my legs were disconnected from my upper body. That you have to get that movement back. You have to reintegrate all the movements through your body. So I started working on all my primal patterns. I started working on them at body weight and deep breathing, really trying to get my lungs to expand. And I tell you now, it probably took me a year and a half to year and a half to fully be breathing again after having done lots of Tai Chi, meditation, deep breath work prior to the surgery. I was shocked. I think I was breathing well within about halfway through my gong, so probably about 50 days. But the actual full expansion of the ribs took time, so be aware of that. Your recovery will not be quick if you're doing it properly. You need to work on all aspects, especially the big rotations, the big mobilizations, the gently easing out and stretching out your scar tissue on your abdomen. I'd say again that probably took a year and a half to 2 years before I started actually losing any kind of adhesion kind of discomfort after training, because I was back probably lifting light weights, deadlifting, things like that within about 6 months. But I did that carefully, and I would know that if I trained a little bit beyond what I could do before, I'd probably then have to rest off for a week or two from heavy work in the gym, because I'd feel those adhesions just sort of loosening up and breaking down. So be aware of that. You are going to be limited. It's not about running the race the fastest. Work within what's comfortable. So as I say, I started this gong, this meditation gong, and within 8 weeks I had to go for my outpatients meeting with the surgeon. He was very happy. He discharged me, but I said to him at the time, what caused this? Was it something I did at the gym? Was it anything else I was doing? And he categorically said no. He said, you will lift better than 99% of people in that gym. You know what you're doing. He said this would not have caused your volvulus. And I was like, well, that's bizarre. And so, as he had no answer, he actually said, we do not know why it happened to you at 37. And so immediately I was thinking, right, congenital. So it was always going to happen. It was a ticking time bomb, or emotional. And I do a lot of emotional work with clients. So very much within the meditation that has already been coming, but the focus really went on to third chakra. And it became very apparent where there was maybe some emotional issues that had probably been with me for about 10 years. So I started working through a lot of that, and started working through that post the gong, and changing a lot of lifestyle to address those deeper sort of more emotional issues that hadn't been dealt with. And that's been fundamental, not just for the recovery, but for my life as well. And then going more into the physical side, so going back to Matt Walden and Emma Lane, Matt agreed that I needed to start with infant development exercises, a lot of navel radiation, a lot of deep breathing, I did a lot of crawling work, I did a lot of core recruitment work, so TVA work, working on horse stance exercises, whilst coupling that with stretching. Now, as I say, this went on for about 6 months, inclusive of slowly integrating body weight and getting my 7 primal patterns back to a decent level with good form. Then at about 6 months, I started to reintroduce weights very lightly, very, very lightly, and slowly building up. And training as regularly as I could around family and so on. Also going back to when I was first discharged, one thing I did do was I wanted to be as active as possible. So generally with the abdominal surgery, you're told don't lift anything that makes you strain. Now, I found out from day one I could lift a pan of water, I could do that stuff without straining at all. So I got on with doing meals, helping out. I couldn't expect my wife to just do everything. So rather than sit there and just watch film after film, I'd get up, I'd try and do some light housework if I could, just to be active, just to use your body. The quicker you use it, the more calmly you use it, the more you're going to kick on. So that's a fundamental. I was using the stairs carefully, going up and down. And as soon as I felt right, I got clearance from the doctor to drive. I could do an emergency stop. That allowed me to get out and about more, go and socialise, and again, it gives you that drive to keep going. There were some tough days, I'd say. I think if I look back at my my videos, because I was blogging it at the time, I think it was around day 14, maybe just before I started the gong, 10 to 14. I had some very down days, feeling pretty useless for someone who had been very physical, to not be able to do anything and not be able to help out in the same way around the house and with raising my little one. There was some tough mental days, but I'd say only 2 or 3, and then I just sort of kicked myself out of it. But for some people that might not be as easy, so be aware of that. Make sure you've got people you can talk to and it help you through that time. And then another thing to be aware of is my taste buds were shot for about 3 weeks. I had a nice white, I would imagine, dead cells on my tongue. I couldn't really taste a lot of things well. Didn't really enjoy a cup of tea, which was awful because I love my cup of tea. Chocolate didn't even taste the same. Burger didn't even taste the same. All these fun foods that you like to enjoy, my sort of full organic burgers and so on. So I just didn't have them until probably about 3 to 4 weeks. So be aware of that. Things are going to taste off. But that I think is quite normal. I did a lot of brushing my tongue and a lot of oral health practices just to get that back. I also wanted to detox or try and clear out my system from the medication as much as possible. Plenty of water. I took gelatin for connective tissue healing. I also used coconut oil on the scar, which was phenomenal. Worked really well. So all of that happened in the first couple of weeks. Lots of organic foods, lots of casseroles and dishes like that. Some bone broth. Didn't have loads. I tried to make one without a slow cooker and kind of went a bit awry, so I think I couldn't be bothered with that. But that's why I did the gelatin instead. And then from 6 months, getting into the gym, starting all my primal patterns again, starting to work through ranges of motion and being able to lift heavier again. Work-wise, I was told 8 weeks. I actually took 12 weeks. And when I went back, I would usually see anywhere from 14 to 16 patients a day. And I started back on 6. And I would only see those that weren't physically challenging for me. And then within a month, I was up to 8. Within 2 months, I was up to 10. And actually now, as a rule, I don't tend to go over between 10 to 12 a day. I think I was kind of running myself into the ground a little bit. So I backed off from that. Just then took it day on day, getting back into my exercises. I'd say at about a year, I was feeling pretty decent. I think I was looking okay. I'd lost a lot of muscle. I think I was still only weighing about 78 kilos. And before I went into the surgery, I think I was 83, 84. So still quite a lot below. I think I got to about 82 kilos at about 14 to 16 months. And then we had a second child and other things got in the way of moving house and so on. So I would say I'm now 4 years this year post-surgery. I probably was doing really well in the first year and a half in terms of my recovery. It was probably ahead of where I wanted to be. Then with all the interruptions, I sort of dropped off a little bit, and now is my second spur with having had my kids and them getting, I suppose, easier to handle now. This is my second drive, so watch out for that. I'm going to be doing a bit of a campaign on my channel, and I want you to come on that journey with me. I want to get myself back beyond where I was before. So for any of you who are going through this, if you want to connect, if you want to comment below, ask questions, you can subscribe. Please subscribe, share to anyone else who's going through this. As I say, comment. I'll try and answer the questions as best I can. Always ask your doctor or your surgeon any relevant information that you might need to know. Don't be afraid to ask, and ask for help if you need it. Just ask for help, because people will help. People aren't going to leave you stranded. But if you want to also follow me directly, you can follow me on Instagram, primal_al. You can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/back2primal. And you can follow me on Facebook /Alistair.McGee. I'm also on LinkedIn. So if any of you got any questions, you just send them along and I'll see if I can tap in a little reply and hopefully help you out in your journey. And if you are going through any of this, please be well, good luck, and sort of enjoy the journey as best you can, but don't give up. Take care, and thanks for watching.